Hello friends, a very warm welcome, and in this session we are going to take up General Studies Paper 1 2024, and the idea would be to go through the answers in a way which will help us to understand what is the demand of the questions and exam. If you go through the whole series that we have undertaken, it is a gradual process and it is a pedagogy and it is a kind of a training module which has to be done in a certain way. If you are bypassing that, then you must be smart enough. Otherwise, it's very difficult and critical that you will be able to make any kind of mileage and any kind of judgment of your hard work that you've been doing. Because examination and life both are not looking for any hard work, they are looking for smart work. Obviously, you can redeem yourself if you had been not consistent ever. Then following us, working with us can make you more consistent and more humane and also more critical, and managerial skills will also develop. So underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Rig Vedic age to the later Vedic age. It is only asking about the broad changes which one can witness from the perspective of society and economy from the Rig Vedic age to the later Vedic age. So one can take up both society and economy at one together, or it can also take undertaken as society first and then economy, or economy first and then society. Transformation of early Indic era, 1500 BC to 1000 BC, later Vedic era, 1000 BC to 500 BC, saw concrete ideas materializing with impound ease of living and governance. I think I like the words. They are very good words and they definitely make a sense. Societal reforms, leadership. Earlier, a tribal chief acted as a leader with evolution to hereditary kingship led to centralization of power. This is a very, very good line. So you could have written the word Rajan in bracket. Emergence of Varna system led to ingrained caste-based discrimination and concept of purity and pollution, ritual pollution, basically creating divisions in livelihood sectors. That means more reading and more smart pickup of vocabulary will help. Weakening of role of women, earlier participated in Sabha and Samiti, later empowered by the element of patriarchy. I really appreciate that. But in societal, you could have also written one line that how life was becoming more complex because there was an element of urban life which is reflected. Not urban exactly, but when we talk about the later Vedic age, then more crafts and more migration. So this kind of impact cutting of jungle is taking place in the later Vedic age that we could have brought in one go. So, but that and fine, it is a fairly competitive answer. Collective ownership of land and community ownership changed into private property rights created more inequality. It created more equality also. Cow was the most important measure of wealth. Godhan, Godhuli, you could have written in bracket. Those vocabulary is very important. Pastoralism to settle agriculture in the Gangetic plain and use of iron towards the east. That is very important. We have to see, and therefore Bali and land tax began to be so very simple, clear, and a smart answer is there. But then a more evolved picture can be connected that we can discuss later on. Estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi for the development of art and literature of South India. So it is asking estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi for the development of art and literature of South India. And the next question says, what were the events that led to the Quit India movement? Point out its results. So you should have done question number 2 also, because we had already done. You remember we had that long audio discussions and you had those doc. I think doc points also you are having. We have to look into it. But Pallavas of Kanchi played a very important role. They significantly laid down the foundation for the literature and also architecture, which is reflecting its zenith in the times of Cholas and later on in the times of Vijayanagara Empire. Both the bases were laid down by Pallavas of Kanchi because they are coming with the mixture of Vaisara style of architecture, Central Indian style, and giving an impetus to the Dravidian style of architecture. From Pancharathas to Shore Temple and to the higher evolution, which we reflect further at the city of Kanchipuram. In terms of literature, Pallava Granth, a script was there. So you can say the early initial mode of Kannada literature is also reflected in the times of Pallavas. In fact, King Narsimha Mamala and then Mahendra Varman and later on Vikramaditya VI, they played very, very important role because Bilhana and other court poets, which actually played a very, very important role in creation of a long-term setting of the whole scenario for South India. That is also reflected. I'm just giving you an overview. More facts can also be added. What were the events that led to the Quit India movement? What were the events? So events are long-term and short-term events. 1942, you could have written exact date, and it was the result of multiple events. Failure of the Cripps mission, 1942, as proposed dominion status for India, not able to take care. Inclusion of India without its asset in the World War II. So first you have written point number 2, then could have point number 1. In fact, you could say that Quit India movement was in making since the coming up of the government of India in 1935, and especially after the formation of the Congress governments. And then you could have written point number 3, point number 1 and 2. So formation of INA by Subhash Chandra Bose led to widespread impact on Indians taking up revolutionary methodologies. It is actually a very good point, but vocabulary could have been a little different. Uncertainty created by possible invasion of India by Japan during war. Language, it is simple, but vocabulary and language both are different thing. When we say language, that means overall how it is reflecting, and vocabulary means are you bringing some specific elements, some specific keywords which are going to give a kind of a direction to the answer. With all these events, Gandhiji announced Quit India movement with slogan "Do or Die," resulting in individual revolts. Usha Mehta, Radio Run Underground. You could have first written there large number of, not I should say large number, but then many parallel governments were set up. Praja Sarkar स्थापित की गई थी. That is very important. So deepened commitment of Indians for complete independence, which weakened the British spirit, and Cabinet Mission 1946 proposed the constitutional plan in India. Okay, move on. Fine. Therefore, Indian naval mutiny was the last nail in the coffin of British rule, resulting in an independent India. I think fair enough. Fair enough. But then couple of elements, as I just said. What is the sea surface temperature rise? How does it affect the formation of tropical storms? So sea surface temperature rise is aided by the ocean due to rising concentration of carbon dioxide in the water, 30%, sun, high penetration, insolation, short waves. You could have taken one real example also. Is it the same in Indian Ocean? Is it the same in Pacific Ocean? How it is linked with the La Nina and El Nino? Because that is also linked with the sea surface temperature. Without bringing those keywords and also those phenomena, the understanding remains half. The upper layer has thus more variable temperature, 27 degrees centigrade, suitable formation of cyclone, fine, as seen recently in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea. Rise in frequency of cyclones like Rimmel hit recently West Bengal, more intense cyclones with rising average sea surface temperature, breaking conventional pattern of formation with more cyclones in Arabian Sea, for example, urban flooding with strong landfall. There must be more, proper placing of the key words and the sentence formation. It is going on track, but a little bit of more confidence will come up when the more focus is being given through the newspaper sessions and also through revision. And along with that, geography series and NCRT that we're going to do, and we have done it once before. Impact the agriculture in coastal regions, the fishing community and their livelihood, resulting in the reduced habitable condition. We could be more specific that what kind of impact it makes, how it exactly is making impact when the fish catches less, or even the marine food catches less. Then how long it happens? It happens at least 1 month along with the time period, and then it has got longer ramifications because it is destructing the marine infrastructure. If it is coming up, then it takes a lot of time to create the same kind of infrastructure. And then also not just fishing community, but then rural community in the hinterland is also impacted in other ways. So therefore, IMD in collaboration with the IMD in collaboration with ISRO is building a hyper-localized weather prediction system to mitigate the aftershock. I think on track, no worries. Why do large cities tend to attract more migrants than the smaller towns? Very good question. Discuss in light of conditions in developing countries. So this is a very good question because it is talking about developing countries. The migratory pattern is mostly influenced by the desire to improve the quality of life. Quality of life, comma, poverty and unemployment, basically. That is why we migrate. Quality of life is not poor in the villages. You don't have any employment. So employment and everyday your needs, and that means poverty and unemployment. Again, I would suggest quality of life is actually the end point, and it is also a reflector of different levels. There is no one quality of life, but you are right in saying so. But you could have been a little smart in weaving the words. It holds true in rural to urban migration, urban to urban migration, and domestic to foreign migration. No, there was no need for that. It is only asking that why migration takes place to the larger cities and not to the smaller ones, and why it is a phenomena that is seen in the developing countries. So you could have created first of all two lines on talking about that developing countries in the southern hemisphere. They face similar kind of similar kind of challenges and opportunities. So there are big, whether it is capital of Brazil, whether it is capital of Nigeria, whether it is capital of India, whether it is capital of Mexico, whether it is capital of South Africa. Everywhere you will find certain common factor, because the kind of development is isolated, and the kind of focus is also isolated. It has not penetrated throughout, so there are issues with that. So naturally, large urban migration cities become the core. Why naturally? So now it is not. No, no, you are not able to so. So Bangalore, Mumbai, Singapore, Dubai. No, 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 no. Singapore and Dubai and Wuhan, Shanghai, fine, but Singapore, they are not part of developing countries, so that is why it got off track. So developing countries means something which is actually, why? Because there is a stark difference between the larger city and also a smaller town. Smaller town is actually an extension of rural area at many a times. It is not the part of the whole process, it is part only. It has by default went on to grow because some refinery came up, because some industrial units came up, because Kandla port have come up. So Kandla port had come up, so it is only not that the economy of the local area has boomed so much. It had changed, but then Ahmedabad is having its own Ahmedabad is having its own charm, its own magnetism. Similarly migration from Odisha to Bengaluru, or from Bihar to Thiruvananthapuram. So nobody is my, so you have to understand this. So opportunity to earn higher income, like in corporate sector, is not that. It is again you have to say that the manufacturing and the services sector, they are the hubs over there. It is not just about higher income. And global capacity centers, that is another aspect. वो जब तक small city में नहीं जाएंगे, that I like the point, but then placing and then the argument, and that is lost. Propensity to have modern way of living due to ecosystem in large cities. There is no developing countries. Large cities are full of pollution, full of bottlenecks with traffic, full of unplanned urbanization. So what kind of ecosystem we are talking? Ecosystem is just emerging. We are the Texas and California of 1970s. So even before that, we can say so. That once there was a time कि कहाँ रहते हो? New York. Wow. No, that was a time once. दुबई, अब दुबई है, अब यूएई के छोटे छोटे जगह भी हैं. लार्ज मार्केट ऑफर्स हायर सक्सेस रेट. नहीं नहीं यार, ये कुछ बात नहीं है. ऑल द रीजंस फिट इनटू द ग्रोथ ऑफ डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज बिकॉज हाई पोटेंशियल ग्रोथ रिमेन्स टू बी leveraged. For example, textile in Vietnam, manufacturing in India. Yeah, that is agreed. Availability of cheap and skilled labor. It is not availability. Avenues are there. The even skill development is also taking place in the big cities, because in smaller cities you generally don't have those skill setup. Capital infusion is a very good point, but then this is question in paper one. So societal angles are more important. Nuclear family, and then if you want to bring up modern idea only, then charm of fast life, which you say that I will go to city and I'll earn and come back and construct a home in village only. So that thing should have been there. So this answer is lost. What is the phenomena of cloudburst? Natural weather phenomena characterized by more than 10 centimeter in 60 minutes. Okay, heavy downpour. You should have created one whole ऐसा करके बना देते पहाड़ सा और पानी सा. Downpour shortest possible time. ठीक है. Torrential rainfall, hyperlocalized. चलिए वायनाड, केदारनाथ, हिमाचल में भी होता है. Conditions and working, relative humidity and cloud cover, low temperatures, low winds, high amount of clouds. As temperature rises, cloud can, ठीक है. Okay, which kind of clouds? That could also be, we would have spoken which kind of clouds actually do so. So, but then overall fair effort, but then we have to see the effort in context of the other people who are writing more micro, who are writing more threadbare. It can help us. But then the point meteorological is a very good point. 1.5 degrees centigrade is also very good. Western Ghats and Indian Himalayan region most vulnerable to cloudburst. Fine, we could have worked a little better, but then it's fine. Concept of demographic winters is the world moving towards such a situation. Demographic winter depicts the third stage of demographic transition theory. Both birth rate and death rate falls. Elderly population, ठीक बात है. When population, elderly population will double by, so we are definitely headed towards its region. Natural, with total fertility feeling below the in development like Italy and Japan. I like that. Population control. If you are written on your own without any kind of support, then this answer is appreciated. Two-child policy, other developed countries, then the impact of population led to evolved family structure with the trend no child, double income, or dog parents. Yes, you can also write that in the developed countries, then the kind of impact globalization, consumerism had on the uh, uh, citizens or people living in advanced countries, then they lose the connectivity with the basic elements of life, because we get so engrossed with the virtual world or with the kind of consumerist world, then we feel these things are very mundane, and we at times in a moral and ethical way we forget the real duties of us, which is towards our parents or which is towards the future generations. So that is how it is happening. The societal and the philosophical aspect you could have written, जैसा आपने लिखा, no child double income वाला, it is becoming very, people say that why I should be bothering my child to bring into pollution, and I don't want a child. I am happy to help others. So these kind of otherwise in South Korea or in Japan, government is giving incentives, government is giving money, government is doing everything, and still babies are not born. So you can understand that, so why it is happening, because bringing a baby is not a commodity. Advanced health services have increased the lifetime. Very good point. Very good point. Therefore, instead of seeking as a burden, it should be viewed as a silver dividend. Skill and experience cherry on the cake. Okay, good effort. Honesty is appreciated. Distinguish between gender equality, gender equity, and women empowerment. Why is it important? The gender concerns the program design and implementation. So it is a very good point. And gender discrimination is part of Indian society and economy and polity. Okay. Since the emergence of caste system during Vedic times, it can be resolved through gender equality, treating all gender, male, female, and third gender equally. Gender equity, it involves positive discrimination. For example, several women from SC/ST, I think basic अच्छा समझा है. Women empowerment through education, increased labor participation rate, employment on merit, abolition. So what could have done is that in all the three contexts, we could have brought some solid illustration. Solid illustration would have cemented the place. In case of, for example, gender discrimination, so just bring certain village or certain practice or like certain districts names. Then in equity also you could have brought certain self-help group name, and then in equality also you could have given one example where government of India is actually promoting something on those lines. And what is the idea of National Commission for Women, what is the idea of Niti Aayog, one we could have just quoted those, so this would make a lot of difference. It is very important to take into account gender concerns programs to uphold the fundamental rights. First of all, it is very important to, yes, you are right, fundamental rights. First of all, it is a human dignity and human right. Even India as a society want to grow and to become a developed nation, it is not possible without addressing these equity, equality, and discrimination point. And to take into account the reality, increasing rationality, efficiency, this is a very vague point. You could have written that when one thinks of the labor participation rate, or when one thinks of women participation in politics, or or you can say in political representation also, then without understanding these elements, it is not possible. For example, Supreme Court upheld the single and everyone has the right to safe and legal. So this is societal. This is how the social awareness, right of each individual वाला बात आ गया. Bodily autonomy, progressive society overcome social evil, there are new criminal laws. So I think good points you have brought, but then not very easily able to bring the big thought process. Answer is in the making. Intercaste marriages between castes which have socio-economic parity have increased to some extent, but this is less true of inter-religious marriages. Okay, the Special Marriage Act governs interfaith marriages covering both intercaste and interreligious marriages. Marriage in India is social. It is not a socially sensitive aspect. It is a very, very important integral social institution. It is a social institution. It is not an aspect. Marriage in India is a part, is one of the very, very important part of social life, according to Indian culture. That is how significant it is. There are individual choices. There is happening, but then that's point. And honor, respect, and family. Not marriage. A marriage is linked with the whole kul. मतलब जो पूरा कुल है, कुनबा, कुल, lineage, उस सब का पूरा एक साथ कर देखा जाता है. लेकिन no, it is not just honor and respect, it is a satisfaction. one feel culturally and socially satisfied. Family feels culturally and socially satisfied when the children get settled. So that's how one has to, bring the very broad point. So we will do it through the Hindi, articles and discussion that we have in Hindi. We will look into it. Because of the caste system being so deeply ingrained since ages, intercaste and interreligious marriages are looked upon. Intercaste and interreligious marriages, they intercaste and interreligious marriages, they are in some way alien to the backward elements of Indian culture, because untouchability or even other social stigmas and taboos, if they are so much ingrained in a traditional setup, then traditional setup did not allow one to cross the barriers, because one had to live within the same ecosystem. So that is why pre-liberalized India or even post-independent India, it was a phenomena with a chosen few, upper class, elite class, or so-called those who had social mobility, not with the rest of the society. Now it is changing. When the social mobility is increasing and capability of an individual is increasing and more nuclear family is there and the social and cultural changes are visible, then these things are coming up. When we are finding more social, we are confronting globalization, and we are confronting post-modern and modern values through social media and through the world interconnectivity, then definitely these things matter, especially in cosmopolitan cities. So थोड़ा और broader और आगे आना चाहिए था. Caste being subset of religion first witnessing progress, it is also due to effects of globalization, urban way of living. Urban, there is nothing called urban way of living, urbanization. In urbanization, in urban also, in urban area also, people love to, some people, some group of people would love to live like a rural. They will have kitchen garden. They will love to recycle the water. They will live the simple way. So urban way of living तो बहुत मतलब अजीब सा वर्ड हो गया. कुछ नहीं होता urban way of living. Levice, you can say. That's called urban way of living. Going to mall and वो है. So ठीक है, but interreligion is still a taboo, because classifying religion on the basis of social hierarchy. No, no, not all the religions we are having. Interreligious marriages in India, they are not a they more than a taboo and stigma. Interreligious marriages uh, are not so common because there is so much fluidity within one religion only, so much fluidity and so much flexibility within one religion, and so many cultural practices are there that the other religious practices are not easily forced upon the other religion. Are you getting my point?
जी सर।
This would have been possible when two religion, four religion है, चार religion है भाई, लेकिन वो चार religion एक साउथ में, एक नॉर्थ में, एक वेस्ट में, तब तो होता. एवरीथिंग इज एवरीवेयर इन इंडिया.
हम्म।
सो इंटर रिलीजियस मैरिजेस तक पहुंचते पहुंचते उससे पहले ही इतना कुछ आदमी देख लेता है. कितना कितना देखेगा, कितना झेलेगा. उसको इतना वैरायटी, इतना डायनेमिक सब मिल जाता है कि उसको कूद के वहां जाने की डायरेक्ट जरूरत
नहीं।
नहीं है. लेकिन लेकिन इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, इंडियन सोशल वे ऑफ लाइफ, इंडियन कल्चरल वे ऑफ लाइफ, it is not a barrier in inter-religious marriages. Okay, so
हाँ।
it is always there. It is there in so many states. It is there in where there is more migration, where there are more, like in the coastal India, where migrants have settled down, or in the areas where there had been trade centers. ऐसा है. So classifying religion on the basis of social hierarchy is the wrong one. It's a blunder. No, we ये तो आपने मतलब ये माइनॉरिटी व्यू है. दिस इज अ वेरी वेरी स्मॉल व्यू. हम नहीं लिखेंगे ऐसा. फोर्सफुल रिलीजियस कन्वर्जन वायलेटिंग फंडामेंटल. Now interreligious marriages are not acceptable, and they are not so mean because people are not so comfortable, because there are instances and there are ways by which one religious community may be trying to convert others, especially in the poor, tribal, and also in the backward areas. So it is again linked with the economics. अब आपने तो पूरा एकदम मतलब ना वो राइट विंग वाला सब हो गया, ये तो ज्यादा हो गया. राइट टू चूज पार्टनर इज ए डिविडेंड डिराइव्ड फंडामेंटल राइट, वो तो है ही भाई. लास्ट में आपने सुप्रीम कोर्ट ले आया, पहले आपने धोती पकड़. सो ठीक है, यू हैव टू थिंक एंड वर्क ऑन दीज लाइंस एंड वी हैव टू सी लेटर ऑन इन इन
डीलिंग।
हाँ, in dealing with socio-economic issues of development, what kind of collaboration between government and NGOs and private sector would be most productive? Socio-economic issues of development. First, there must be immediately coming in 5 seconds. Socio-economic issues of development, and then NGO and private sector. Socio-economic issues. So, India being a diverse country have unique socio-economic dynamics with its positive and negatives. Each stakeholder like government, NGOs, and private sector has functioned. Very good start. I think a very good introduction. Income inequality, growth versus inflation, efficient resource allocation, socio-economic, nutritional security and food security, जेंडर इक्वलिटी है भाई, एक सोशियो इकोनॉमिक इक्वल पे है यहाँ पर, इक्वल पे, इक्वल एक्सेस, वो जो ये वाली बात कहाँ गई, वो आना चाहिए था ना। इनकम इनइक्वालिटी तो आपने बोला, लेकिन इसकी जगह अगर आप पे पैरिटी बोलते तो और ज्यादा, क्योंकि क्योंकि सोशियो इकोनॉमिक इशू है, सोशल भी आना चाहिए, इकोनॉमिक भी आना चाहिए। बट देन आई थिंक गुड एफर्ट। गिवन द अपोजिशन चैलेंजेस, द ट्रायड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट कैसे हेल्प करेगा, देखिए, डेटा ड्रिवन प्लानिंग फॉर टारगेट अप्रोच, वन नेशन वन राशन कार्ड, आधार कार्ड, आई थिंक गुड पॉइंट। प्लगिंग लीकेजेस ऑल्सो, prevent exclusion of error, saved 400 crore. Digitization using bidding to transparently allocate tenders to private players, electricity tender, ठीक बात है। तो इसमें आप बताइए कि क्या हुआ, अगर आपने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी टेंडर इफ बीइंग गिवन, देन it actually gave some kind of leverage to the poor, they were able to access. Okay, like for example you can say cluster buses, public transport for women, that is also socio-economic issue, socio-economic mobility you are providing. So NGOs कैसे, आप ऊपर से एग्जांपल में शुरू से लेके आते हैं, NGOs are providing for example special education, and then for handicrafts, and then in context of sports for women, तो ऐसा करके आपको सब जगह लेके आना चाहिए था। देन पोलियो वैक्सीन इज अ गुड पॉइंट, बट देन पब्लिक हेल्थ कैंपेन्स के लिए हैं। NGOs are doing a lot for as far as you know, Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan and other NGOs are also, a lot of NGOs are there, and then most importantly socio-economic issues में यहाँ आना चाहिए था, ब्यूटी पार्लर कोर्स, टैबलेट चलाने वाला कोर्स, देन यू नो छोटा मोटा टेली, अकाउंटेंसी, पब्लिक स्पीकिंग स्किल्स, ये सारी चीजें भी सोशियो इकोनॉमिक वायबिलिटी को बढ़ाते हैं। How this should have been done, that is what I think we would have done. How far was the industrial revolution in England responsible for the decline of handicraft and cottage industries in India? How far? So British colonial policy to fuel industrial revolution resulted in economic Indian handicraft. How far बोल रहा है, तो beginning अच्छी होनी चाहिए। Success of the IR entirely determined by India. अच्छा, entirely determined by India। मर्केंट बड़े बड़े आपने पॉइंट डाल दिए, वो छोटी बात पूछ रहा है, मतलब आपको इंडिया स्पेसिफिक थोड़ा सा स्मार्ट लिखना था। मर्केंटली स्टेट पॉलिसी तो है, लेकिन कैसे? इंडिया वाज सोर्स ऑफ रॉ मटेरियल एक्सप्लॉइटेड चीपर प्राइस, जनरल पॉइंट है ये। इंग्लैंड इंपोर्टेड विद इंपोजिशन ऑफ कस्टम ड्यूटी बट एक्सप्लॉइटेड द फिनिश गुड डाउन टू इंडिया विदाउट, ठीक बात है, रिजल्टेड इन द, सो वेरी गुड ओवरव्यू, वेरी गुड फर्स्ट लेयर ऑफ द आंसर्स, बट द क्वेश्चन इज सेइंग दैट हाउ फार, so how far you could have written that, even if you are saying entirely, then also you have to bring the aspect that the modernization and the mechanization which was visible in England at that time, that was not coming to India. And at the same time, British was trying to adjust their own vested interest with the transitional zone in India. So that is why एक तो natural हो गया, और दूसरा ब्रिटिश ने उसको, ब्रिटिश accelerated the whole process. They actually, what I should say, they skewed the whole process, and that is why they created a kind of drain of wealth जो आना चाहिए था यहाँ पे। जो drain of wealth का concept है, that is a very very sophisticated concept because it was not visible. So they created in such a socio-economic and also political system that it took us 100 years to understand that, what from 1780s to 1880s, that actually how British created a platform, and then parallelly industrial revolution was started in England, and how in a sync they were able to utilize our resources, people, and also uh, uh, as a kind of a back, we were the backbone. Why you didn't write India was the backbone for the industrial revolution? So बात तो सारी सही है, but how you are weaving it, बात तो बिल्कुल सही है, बात के पॉइंट्स तो बहुत ही अच्छे हैं, permanent destruction of cottage, although were several satyagrahas like Champaran, Bihar, Kheda. The Indian workers were at the mercy of British with famines. Like, uh, I think it's going on track, but then a little bit of more clarity and second layer we will create. The groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on a serious decline. Okay, how may it affect the food security of India? So I think this question is asking you how it may affect. So you can write so many ways how food security would be impacted, but the broader picture must be taken up first. India is already water scarce country according to Central Water Commission. Gangetic Valley and the Ganges River system is the perennial source, but question is how far long. Challenges: river pollution, depleting groundwater. But the question is asking you already. It is saying that groundwater is depleting. The groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is in a serious decline. How it will impact the food security? So we have to jump to the bigger topic. Two topics are here. First of all, groundwater potential is declining. That is agreed. So you can just create an opening by talking about that groundwater potential is depleting, like the challenges you are talking about. You could just northern Ganges plain like गंगा गंडक सारा बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, लेकिन वो क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग कि ये फूड सिक्योरिटी को कैसे इम्पैक्ट करेगा. तो क्वेश्चन इज मोर ऑन एग्रोक्लाइमेटिक जोन. क्वेश्चन इज मोर ऑन दिस होल टेबल, जो टेबल है. तो इसका मतलब आपको लेके आना पड़ेगा. यू हैव टू ब्रिंग ऑल्सो हिमालयाज इन टू पिक्चर, बिकॉज हिमालयाज आर द सोर्स. सो दोज ग्लेशियर विच आर मेल्टिंग, दो लाइन में वो बता के बात खत्म. फूड सिक्योरिटी का क्या होगा? Challenges to the food security, so that you could have created a thread from green revolution, and then from green revolution how we are going to create evergreen revolution. And evergreen revolution may not be created because of this groundwater. If the groundwater potential, then what happens? The wheat basket is gone. The wheat basket, rice basket, and also 1/6 of the population of the world, which is there, you know, if I'm talking the correct data, then that will be in a serious jeopardy. And not only that, food security is linked with the whole food web and the whole ecosystem that will be collapsed. So a kind of a bigger picture you have to create of a chaos, which is not just with the uh, food crops. It is with the whole ecosystem. It is the whole marine life. It is with the whole city. सारा सब कुछ ही हो जाएगा वो. So land desertification, definitely land desertification, arable land will decline, abandoning agriculture by farmers. So, but then very true. But then we could put it in a more, more constructive way, a kind of answer, a kind of a solution oriented approach, because food security has got a very big dimensions. It is not just growing of food only. So more interstate water sharing disputes, हाँ बात तो ठीक है, distort the cropping pattern. So लेकिन a rise of food inflation due to supply side disruption, बात points अच्छे हैं. But I'm just trying to tell you the measures. Okay, climate smart agriculture, very good point. Precision and reclamation of land through conservation of Ramsar sites, very good point. I think farmer protection through PM फसल बीमा योजना. बट लेकिन वो जो गंगा की बात हो रही है, गंगा बेल्ट की बात हो रही है, उसके लिए आप एक्शन में क्या बताओगे? वो तो बताना था ना. मतलब कि basically we have to change the complete way. We have to become more judicious. We have to be more जो नैनो यूरिया से लेकर और हम जो पर ड्रॉप की बात करते हैं, पर क्रॉप, मोर क्रॉप पर ड्रॉप, एंड देन the role of satellites and the role of those agri startups, and then so many things we talk about, some element must have been brought here. That is just my view. You have to just observe and your role, like you can just think about it. What are the twisters? Why are the majority of twisters observed in areas around Kalvaki? Okay, fine. Twisters are tornadoes observed in Atlantic Ocean. Very good, very good. These are funnel shaped clouds, violent rotating, characterized by intense wind. Chale. Speed of thunder usually observed. Chale. Geography, flat terrain. Very good. Minimal hindrance, strong winds. I think cool enough. Not a problem. Chale, move forward, please. What are what is regional disparity? How it is different from diversity? How serious is the issue of regional disparity in India? Regional disparity is more associated with backwardness in development or non-uniform manner of development across different regions. It led to challenging poverty, lack of low purchasing power. Regional diversity is positive corner. ठीक है ठीक, बहुत अच्छा लिखा, चलिए एग्जांपल देना चाहिए था, दे दिया आपने नीचे. Regional disparity, छत्तीसगढ़, like Dantewada and then Durg and Korba. I think wonderfully. I think good effort, intensity and seriousness, availability of minerals, and then it leads to development of industrial township like Bokaro, Jamshedpur, affected governments, favorable policies. Gujarat state specialized in industries but minimal growth service sector. All such disparity in divide, employment, tertiary skills, multidimensional poverty. I think very well observed and very practical points. Coming to the question number 18, despite the comprehensive policies for equity and social justice, underprivileged sections are not getting the full benefits of affirmative action envisaged by. So the question is actually talking about a very straightforward and a very challenging situation in India when it is saying that comprehensive policies are there but not getting full benefits. So you have to calm down because it is asking you to comment. It is not asking you that it is not happening or it is happening. So you have to calm down and say the process is going on, like the way you said, naming it diverse, most populous, effects and impacts of it takes time to filter down the multiple layers of governance to reach the grassroots level. After writing 15 answers, automatically our minds comes into center. You know, but the question is that can we do it in the first few answers? Comprehensive policy क्या है? Social security, मनरेगा, PDS, reservation on religion and language, economic status. Oh, why? Where do we have religion on the basis of religion? We have where do have we have the reservation on the basis of religion?
So two factors, religion and language नहीं.
एजुकेशन और अर्थ आर्थिक परिस्थिति कैसी है उसके ऊपर बेसिस है.
Economic
सिचुएशन.
economics backwardness.
जी सर.
Economic backwardness and cultural backwardness.
एजुकेशन. जी सर.
हाँ, economic backwardness and education वही. Reservation तो मतलब education religion can't be there. चलिए, so ये blunder हो गया ये. It took away the whole thing from the answer. Certain challenges in effective digital divide and low internet penetration. No. First is the identification of the targeted groups in such a way that the implementing authorities at the district level are able to bring to their doorstep. फिर आप बोलोगे in that the challenges are in terms of digital divide and low internet like digital literacy or digital governance. अब सीधा आप कहाँ चले कि कुकी जो मणिपुर, अरे भाई यहीं रह लेती थोड़ा सा सीधा ही मतलब वहां एकदम मतलब digital divide or low internet penetration is in Mewat also. Is you are 100 kilometers from Patna also. Red tapeism and bureaucratic delays due to opposition and judicial check. Oh, no. Rather than that, you could say that political opportunism and also bureaucratic lethargy, delays, lethargy कह लीजिए, लेकिन ज्यादा उनको ब्लेम नहीं कर सकते एकदम से. आपको कुछ बताना ऐसा है जिससे मिडल मैन रीप्स द बेनिफिट्स इन एग्रीकल्चरल मार्केट्स. बट द okay, exploitation of loopholes थोड़ा सा जनरल पॉइंट हो गया. ब्लैक मार्केट सेलिंग, PDS, differences in the state. This is a good point. Like you can say there are a difference of opinions between the different state governments in terms of federal because they have the federal powers with them. Unused funds in MP-leds, not just with MP-led, but there are a lot of other areas also like in education or in case of skill development. वो सब लेके आना था. However, certain measures can be taken. Shift to complete digitized supply chain or the command chain to monitor track. ये है. Already shift is there, but then apart from that shift, there has to be uh, again a very specific understanding of the last mile connectivity or the last village or the last person. Online grievance redressal system, CPgram. CPgram is there, but then apart from CPgram also, how to promote its utility. On one hand, अगर आप पूरा digitally कर देंगे, then you are writing only there is no digital penetration, तो होगा कैसे? So rather than that, you should say that the political willpower and also elected representatives along with the implementing agency reflected by bureaucracy must play their role effectively with the role of NGOs and self-help groups also. Providing better alternatives like GEM portal for it's already being there. How to promote it? The question is of promotion. Okay, chaliye next. Globalization has increased urban migration by skilled young unmarried men from various classes. Okay, unmarried men, unmarried women. Sorry, not
Means
unmarried men. How has this trend impacted their personal freedom and relationship with family? Urban migration by skilled young unmarried women from various classes. How this trend has impacted their personal freedom and relationship with the family. So globalization is the free flow of ideas, people, and resources. However, in spite of that, women was always at the back end. It took 20 to 30 years of globalization, and that too also in developing countries like India, to put its sensitization across to the women, where they also started getting the ripples and the repercussions of the globalization. First was the breaking up of the mold of patriarchy among the educated women and those women who were ready to take steps, supported by their fathers and their family. वही सबसे पहले कर पाई. Whether it is theater, like Rekha Jain ji, there is a very very famous personality Rekha Jain, Nemi Chandra Jain ji की wife थी. She is a pioneer. वो खड़ी हुई, आगरा कानपुर में नुक्कड़ नाटक किए, इप्टा को ज्वाइन किया, या पॉलिटिक्स में भी ऐसा देख लीजिए. तो वहां से आपको शुरू करना है. इतना बताया. नो डाउट इट हैज मोर पॉजिटिव्स देन नेगेटिव्स विद डाइवर्स इंपैक्ट्स ऑन इंक्रीज अर्बन माइग्रेशन. ये फालतू सेंटेंस हो गया, कोई मतलब नहीं बनता. ग्लोबलाइजेशन हैज टच्ड अपॉन, ये भी कोई मतलब नहीं बनता. अल्टरनेटिव मेथोडोलॉजी ऑफ वर्किंग लाइक बिजनेस ट्रैवल, co-working space from home. It is saying how it has impacted their life, and also it is how it is relationship with their family. That is the question is asking. Personal freedom and not just independent living, but also right to make choices about the level of consumption spending, number of trips in a year, delayed marriages in case of unmarried women. ठीक है. See, the question is first of all, woman is able to stand on her feet and think after having her own money that what should be the priority. So those women and girls are also sending back money home to their woman, to their mother, so that their mother's physical and emotional burdens become less because their mother had never been given any opportunity. So the first parcel, याद करिए फ्लिपकार्ट के ऐड और ये और वो, बेटा मेरे लिए क्या मंगाया तूने, ये सब क्या है फिर ये? बेटा तेरी पहली तनख्वाह की साड़ी मुझे याद रही. कहां से आएगी वो जो जॉय है, वो जो सेक्रीफाइस है? सो द वुमेन इन स्पाइट ऑफ coming to the cities and in spite of migrating, they continued the positive aspects of the tradition. If they are keeping Monday fast, they are not keeping Monday fast among Hindus and among other Indian community as such, not out of compulsion. They do it out of their its benefits. Or they are keeping long hairs. Long hair is a cultural value. It is not about like short hair only is going to help you. So बात समझिए, मतलब हर चीज का एक प्लस माइनस का दायरा है, थोड़ा सा नॉर्मल आदमी की तरह. Family relations have strengthened in some ways when financial independence boosted the quality of life of family staying back. I agree that, as I just said, woman is paying back home, and then mother and father are proud at times. Brother also may be supportive, it may not be, he may not be also. Gig economy opportunities are well leveraged by younger generation to gain early. In gig economy, there are more males. Females are there in operations back end operations, not as a delivery partners. It is just started. And you are right, you can say a strata of society from rural and small cities, women are migrating to the urban cities, and they are actually fitting into the into the very innovative and creative jobs in the consumption based sectors. नेल पॉलिश कराना है, हेयर सैलून का होना है, उसके बाद सूट बेचने हैं, मतलब कपड़े बेचे जा रहे हैं, उसके अलावा कुकिंग का हो रहा है, होम टिफिन हो रहे हैं, उसके बाद जो है आईटी सेक्टर की जॉब्स हैं. ठीक है, उसके बाद सॉफ्ट एचआर जॉब, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स का जो जॉब है, रिसेप्शनिस्ट है, कॉल सेंटर्स है, केपीओ है, बीपीओ है, वो सब लिखना था ना. डेवलपमेंट दिख रहा है, अर्निंग मनी इज द अल्टीमेट गोल इन द इग्नोरिंग द एसेंस ऑफ ओवरकमिंग. ये लड़कियां तो कहाँ करें, बहुत मुश्किल है. अर्निंग मनी इज द अल्टीमेट गोल इन लाइफ, जितना आ जाए उतना थोड़ा है भाई फिलहाल तो. ये मतलब आप कुछ ज्यादा हो गया ये. Also, it has translated into fast life with weakening family connect due to long working hours in the urge to earn more. Uh, it is not the aspect of weakening family connect. It is the burden which comes with the globalization and urban life. It is the burden. So automatically, working hours different हो जाते हैं if you are working in a US time zone or something like that. But you had to focus only on women. तो वुमेन के केस में तो सेफ्टी का चक्कर है. तो बहुत सारा वुमेन तो मतलब इफ द एम्प्लॉयर्स आर नॉट प्रोवाइडिंग देम द रीजनेबल सेफ्टी सपोर्ट व्हिच गवर्नमेंट आल्सो आस्क, जुडिशरी आल्सो आस्क, मार्शल्स वर देयर इन द दिल्ली बसेस फॉर वुमेन. सो आपको वो थोड़ा सा और प्रैक्टिकल एस्पेक्ट लेके आना है. ग्लोबलाइजेशन लेड टू एम्पावरमेंट अनमैरिड वुमेन एज दे गेट राइट टू चूज मोर आउट ऑफ, ठीक है, जनरल स्टेटमेंट है. देयरफॉर मोर कंजम्पशन एंड इंक्रीजिंग पर कैपिटा इनकम इन अर्बन एरियाज इज जस्ट वन साइड ऑफ द कॉइन. Recognizing mental health stability is very good point. Importance of culture. I think I like the way you ended it. Critically analyze the proposition that there is a high correlation between India's cultural diversities and socio-economic marginalities. Critically analyze, because ऐसा नहीं है. That is why it is saying critically analyze. The cause-effect relationship between cultural diversity and socio-economic marginalities exists. Actually, it is not existing. It is only a aberration. Cultural diversity in India is like a bouquet of flowers. But because there is diversity, it is because of so much diversity, there are so many communities which may be very small, but not because they are small, that is why they are socio-economically marginalized. ऐसा नहीं. So, Parsis, very small community, but they are not so, they are diverse also in their own way, but they are not socio-economically marginalized. So India's socio-economic diversity is a natural, cultural, and also a social phenomena existing over a period of 1,000 years. Socio-economic marginalities, they do happen in all the communities, but they are linked with the idea of education, idea of access to finance. That is why financial literacy is being focused upon, and it is also linked with the idea of migration, and also linked with the idea of how the community skills are happening. So diversity of languages has led to several classical languages. बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. Verge of extinction. Apatani, Juang, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है. They are on the verge of extinction, but then diversity, they are on the verge of extinction because of the race for mainstreaming. We are not able to give due address and due pumping in of resources to the marginalized, because they may not be political vote bank. So political willpower again comes into picture. Society cannot move without political willpower. Tribal communities, PVTGs, they are very, very important, very true. There is a risk to extinction, but then we are taking corrective plans, but that is not because of diversity. Please understand. Diversity in itself is a very, very surviving tool. A reservation socially backward, thus socioeconomic marginalization has taken the form of illiteracy. Yes, you can say, very good point. Illiteracy, malnutrition, lack of opportunities, poverty, these are the tools of socioeconomic marginalization. And they may be linked with diversity also. Very true. Very true. Not unilinear and absolute. Very good. I think fair enough. Affirmative actions, equality, preamble. Now again, it came on the track. Centrally sponsored schemes, very true. Education, therefore, gaps and challenges are being addressed by the government and the private sector to trade the path. I think, you have, ended on a good note. Thank you very much. So now what is the first flow of thoughts coming to your mind? Just do the blabbering.
So I think I don't have to think so much when I'm writing specifically the themes related to society. I have to work more on it.
You have to believe that you also belong to India. You're not coming from Hong Kong, Dubai, or Singapore.
And so thinking more in the context of, again, real life, so I have to bring the real life pictures.
So what you are trying to bring? You're making RRR or something like that?
Sir, like when I'm writing society answers, so I feel little kind of like I'm under pressure. So I'm not at so much of ease when I'm dealing with society.
So this is what we are doing with our another series of sessions in society, where Divya and others are also welcome. And apart from that, all over India, we are trying to give the best of the solution-oriented case studies, which depends. In fact, Bhaskar will also agree that he is a very good observer of society. But the question arises when the optional कब पूरा होगा, कब अखबार होगा, कब सोसाइटी आएगा, वो एक अलग दुनिया वाली बात है. तो लेकिन definitely we're going to work on this and we are working already. And any other takeaways for you?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. दिव्या, आप कुछ कहना चाहते हैं?
सर वही है कि क्वेश्चन को किस तरह से इंटरप्रिटेट करते हैं, उसके अकॉर्डिंग आंसर फिर बेहतर चला जाता है।
हाँ, तो आप भी करिए, ये बात बहुत समय हो गया ये सब सुनते सुनते. ये वही
जी
बात, वही नारा है कि दिव्या जी संघर्ष करो, हम तुम्हारे साथ हैं. तो अब इससे आगे बढ़ेंगे तो बेहतर रहेगा. भास्कर, आपको कुछ कहना है?
जी सर, सोसाइटी के आंसर्स में जैसा मैंने देखा कि अगर इसको हम इंडियन जो इंडिया की जो सिनेरियो है,
हम्म.
डाइवर्सिटी या फिर जो भी इश्यूज हैं, हम इंडिया
हम्म.
सेंट्रिक अगर उस पर लिखे तो
हम्म.
वो ज्यादा रेलेवेंट हो जाती है, और उसको अगर हम गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम्स के साथ सस्टेन कर दें
हम्म.
तो थोड़ा सा वैल्यू एडिशन उसमें हो जाता है सर।
कोशिश तो यही है, सोचा यही जाता है, लेकिन जब लिखने बैठते हैं तो होता कुछ और है, लेकिन फिर भी ठीक है. हमारी कोशिश है, हम उस तरफ बढ़ेंगे. वंडरफुल. Great. Thank you very much. And we will soon meet with the next set of discussions in our different series and approaches. All the best.